Hello, we are the Salon Sleuths. My name is Melissa,
And my name is Leslie.
and we are two women from the Pacific Northwest. We are both curious about paranormals, spirit guides, ghosts, past lives.
We are suspicious about true crime, disappearances, and strange phenomenons. We are open to learning about the supernatural and all things we don't understand.
Together, we're opinionated with a splash of smartass. Join us to learn. And stay curious, stay suspicious, and stay open.
Follow Salon Sleuths on all major podcast platforms.
Hello, Salon Sleuth fans. Hello, Leslie. How are you today?
I'm well, Melissa. How are you?
I am good. I am glad it's Friday. I've had a long
Really? What happened this week?
gosh, I don't really know that I can pinpoint it, but I just feel like I get to the end of the week. And my mother-in-law used to say this thing. She's like, uh, and I don't know if her mother said it or kind of where it came from, but she said, by the end of the day, raising kids, you're like a mare that just wants to be slapped on the ass and put out to pasture. By the end of the work week, I am just like, slap me on the ass, put me out to pasture. Let me be.
Yeah,
So I just feel tired. I don't know. I
you're an
don't
active
know.
person, and you
I
always have
am.
like fun things on the weekend that you're doing. So,
No, I don't know. You do too. But I did feel so yesterday. I worked all day. Then I did a bunch of van stuff, getting our RV ready to go. Then I went to Target, went to Home Depot, did all this stuff, and then I came home. Everybody was sitting outside. Which, by the way, I got to tell you about that. Everybody's sitting outside. I sat down for 5 minutes. Everybody's like, "Oh, time to go in." I go upstairs and go to bed. I was like, "Wait, I didn't even have like a hot second to relax. I just was boom, 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 boom." So I did feel a little like, oh, and then I had a soda with caffeine at like 7. That doesn't work anymore. And I knew it. I knew it. And I was just gonna have half, and then I ended up drinking the whole thing because we were sitting around. And then I didn't remember that it was so late until I was trying to go to sleep. Could not go to sleep. Ugh.
yeah,
What I was going to tell you about is our
yeah.
backyard. We have now renamed it. It is called the Olympic Village. Are you
Okay.
watching the Olympics?
No, is that a sports thing? I'm just kidding. You know,
Absolutely.
I'm not super sports, and I'm sure it's on, but no, I
Oh
don't. My
my
TV
god.
hasn't been on lately, so sorry
Oh.
to disappoint.
Oh, it's just kind of fun to have it on, even if you're not watching it. And the kids like, "Whoa, what is this? This is rowing? Oh my gosh, this is cool."
Is that what's
We,
going on right now? Like, what's happening now?
yeah, it was well. It started with girls softball, and I was a softball player, so I played a lot. And so we had that on, and then last night was rowing,
Mm.
and we got into this whole conversation. I wasn't even planning to talk about this, but we got in this whole conversation about when you're rowing. When you're like this was a four-man crew or whatever. Do you think that they're looking out their peripheral vision because they're sitting backwards? They can't see the front, right?
Right.
Do you think they're looking out their peripheral to the other boats? I'm like, absolutely. They know exactly where the boats that are in front of their peripheral vision are. And my son's, oh no, they're just looking straight ahead. I'm like, no, they are not. They are absolutely, they're not turning their head for sure. I mean, these guys are
Do
insane.
they don't have a person at the top like telling them, like the
No,
dragon boat people?
not
No.
the dragon boats. Yeah, they
Okay.
I think, and they didn't say which person, and I didn't research this, but I'm thinking the person. So they're sitting backwards. So I don't know if you want to call that the front or the back, but the person, as people are sitting backwards, the front person, I think, because I think he's sort of telling them what to do and leading it. I don't know, or maybe the back
Okay.
person. I don't know, because if he speeds up, everybody else would see he's speeding up, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how it works, but we got in this whole
Yeah.
debate about it. And you know what? I hadn't had this story on. I mean, I've got the story in here, but I'm going to skip to it because it's about the Olympics, and I hadn't planned to talk about it first. But we're going to talk about it because
Okay.
I'm a little disappointed you're not watching the Olympics. Did you hear, however, about the Norwegian handball team?
No.
Okay. Do you know do you, do
No,
you know what
sorry.
handball is?
Um, it's like wall ball with your hand in a little ball.
Well, yes. However, I'm a little confused because it's beach, and I think it's more like spike ball.
Okay.
Um, not super relevant to the conversation here, but I just wanted to see if you were at all watching the Olympics and everything.
No.
Well, because I'm a little peed off here. The Norwegian handball team before the Olympics asked the European Handball Federation if they could wear their tight spandex shorts, like volleyball players wear. And the federation said no, they had to wear their required short bottoms. Now, mind you, let's just revisit this. The men, their required bottoms are long shorts that are not longer than 10 centimeters from their kneecaps. Okay. So they basically, and they don't have to be tight. So they can basically wear like Bermuda shorts, like basketball shorts, almost down to their knee, right? Women, on the other hand, have to wear bikini bottoms. And let me just tell you the requirements here. They must wear bikini bottoms that are in accordance with the graph. Okay, we need a graph for the women's. With a closed fit and cut upward towards the top of the leg, which means they have to have a high hip line. The maximum side width is 10 centimeters. So the men can be 10 centimeters from their knee, but the women can only be 10 centimeters wide on the side.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So,
interesting.
yeah, exactly. So, they petitioned and said, hey, we want to wear our shorts, which are like volleyball shorts, still pretty darn skimpy,
Or how
but
about just like the men's?
right?
Yeah.
Which is
Mhm.
kind of what I think they should have done. They should have come out. But, anyways, they were denied. So they decided, okay, fine, we're going to wear the bottoms. And you should see there's a picture of the two Norwegian team, the men and the women together. Here's the women in their prescribed bikini shorts. Here's the men. You're like, dude, there's no reason for this. And the women were like, hey, this gets sand in all the wrong places. Like as women, we got some parts in here that sand doesn't really work for.
Yeah.
But they didn't care. So they decided to start the tournament with the prescribed bikinis. They get to the bronze medal match and they went, you know what? F it. We're coming out in our shorts. This is what they play in all the time at home.
Yeah.
So they put on their shorts. They were each fined €150, which is about $176. The team as a whole collectively were charged 150. And this was so controversial. The Norwegian uh, like government and the country was like, no, they're doing the right thing. We fully support them. This should happen. This is not okay. The discrepancy between men and women is not okay. But I want to note here that while I think it is absolutely, they don't even have a leg to stand on, the federation came out and said that what they were wearing was inappropriate clothing for the sport. That's just ridiculous. There is absolutely no reason for this. I mean, I don't even know how you say that with a straight face. And my question is there a woman on this federation?
Right.
Like, are you kidding me? How do you say this with a straight face? The women's beach volleyball, they used to wear those bikini bottoms, but they, after 2012, got rid of a dress code at all. So there is no requirement. And this is the other interesting thing is this happened right after Olivia Breen, who is a Welsh Paralympic world champion. So para means that she's disabled in some way. She was told that her sprinter briefs were too short and inappropriate. And Breen was like, wait, what? I've been wearing the same exact style of briefs for years, and they're specifically made for running and sprinting. So here's one being told, oh, they're too short and too skimpy. And they're exactly made for sprinting. I mean, I don't know if you see those sprinter girls, but
Right.
some of them, they must not have a requirement in the regular running because some of them wear shorts, some of them wear briefs. But she was specifically chastised for wearing too shorter ones when here you have handball being told, oh, they're not small enough. Like, are you flipping kidding me?
I sent you a picture of that on in the chat, which I'll put on the
Is that the
video
two
too.
teams together?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That is super helpful. I'm clicking on your little download here to
I
see.
wasn't sure how to share it to the screen, so I just put it in the chat.
Okay. It's not opening for me, the
Oh,
screenshot, but it's all right.
sorry.
Yeah. So that was my little Olympic story. And today, I don't know if you want to start, but I was just going to do things in the news. That was going to be my topic. Just
Oh,
strange things in the news.
what I want to hear strange things in the
Okay.
news. I do.
All right. So a couple of these things are a little bit in alignment. What do you do when you see somebody litter?
Am I in my car or am I walking? What am I doing?
Either, any.
Um, well, if I was walking, I would probably say something, but like super passive aggressively,
Okay.
or I would just pick it up.
Okay.
Um, if I'm in my car, I would probably do nothing,
Okay. But you'd be
right?
angry. You'd be like, fuck them. Like, that pisses
Yeah,
me off. Like, don't throw your shit out here. Right.
yeah,
You'd get irritated. Right.
yeah.
And I'm going to tie in these two stories. So just bear with me. But do you ever feel like you walk away from an altercation going, darn, I wish I would have said this, or I wish I would
Oh,
have
all
done
the
that?
time. I say
Okay.
that in any situation. I'm like,
Okay.
you play it in your mind. Yeah.
Okay. So this first story is about littering. A Portland, I don't know if you heard this, on July 23rd, a Portland woman saw a man and a woman in a car, and they were in like a hardware store parking lot, and they threw some trash out of the car. So this woman yells at the driver not to litter. And the man kind of mumbled to his passenger. And all of a sudden, the woman who was the passenger in that car leans over the driver and sprays the woman who yelled with a bear mace in the face.
Wow.
Yeah. For just telling him to.
I think that could be considered assault, right?
Well, yes, I do too. And I'm hoping, oh my gosh, I'm hoping that they find these guys and actually do prosecute, because um that's just not okay. And by the way, there
No.
is a litter law. I mean, like, we have regulations
Right.
to be fined for that. Like, I don't understand half the time why people do that, because there's usually a garbage can close. Like, why are you just throwing your trash on the ground? I don't get that one.
It's the same kind of people who litter like that, maybe who carry bear mace.
Well, that is a great
There's
point.
a type, there's a certain type of people that might fit into. I don't know.
I was
I
going to
could
say,
just be speculating.
unless I had just gone hiking out in the, Pacific Crest Trail, I would not have bear mace in my car.
No, I mean, I don't even have mace in my car
No,
for
I don't
any.
either.
Yeah.
I don't either. Maybe we should, just for crazy people that are going to bear mace us. But
Well,
yeah,
I
I
mean,
agree.
for people like that who may approach you for other reasons, maybe
Yeah.
we should have something like that. I'm actually going to go get some today and put it in my side
Oh,
pocket of my car.
okay. Well, you
It's
do
probably
you.
not a bad idea, and especially with a story that I'll tell you later, but
Okay. Okay. Well,
okay.
so this is one about all those people. So there is a store in Snohomish, Washington. It's called Malicious Women Co. And I recently ran into a TikTok from them. And after listening to the TikToks, I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to buy from them. I've got to support them. I'm not going up to, Washington right now, but I will get online and I will buy something.
Yeah.
So they
What is it called
had
again? Malicious Women?
Malicious Women Co. So, when we had that heat wave, they were
Yeah.
closed down for a couple days. And when they got back to the store, they had a note on their front door, taped to their front door, and it says, your values are not aligned with our American values, which I didn't know American values. I don't know what that is, but therefore close your shop, leave town, and take your hate for America with you. Signed, American citizen. And I was
Well,
like, wow, okay, there's a lot of stores.
I think that was one particular person who felt that way, not like
Well,
as a whole.
but then more people have been writing them letters and sending them hate mail and sending them bad reviews on Google and everything. So then you might ask, okay, well, what are they selling? What are they doing? So the name, I thought the name was a little weird, but I actually listened to the owner describe it. And she said she had a friend, much like your friend, that passed away. J- Starts with a
Janie?
J. Janie.
Yeah.
Gosh, I couldn't remember that. Just like went poof, blank.
Yeah.
Janie, that from the moment they were friends, they felt like they were meant to be friends.
Yeah.
And they just were attached at the hip from that day on. And Jane, or not Janie, this woman, her name was Laura. She had some mental issues that she dealt with and kind of struggled with. And she actually died in 2016. But the owner, who was best friends with her, said they used to talk about the Karens and the thises and the that's. And even men, sometimes, and they'd be like, oh, I wish I would have said this, or, oh, I should have said this, and they'd always think about it later and they'd joke and laugh. And so they started to call that, we wish we were more malicious, which I wouldn't have thought of using that word.
Right.
I would have just thought quick on your feet, good with the comebacks.
Well, and not every like response of like rethinking is in like mean or malicious.
Right.
Like sometimes it's just more clever or like that.
Clever, witty.
Right.
A good comeback that almost makes the person feel worse for actually having said it. Right.
Right. But it's not always malicious. But
correct. So
yes.
That is where the term malicious company came from. Right.
Okay.
And so I went on to their website and was checking things out. And I just have to tell you some of the funny things. First of all, let me back up. Some of them are like inappropriate, adult only, right? They use the F-bomb, and some of the Google reviews and things about them are, they use the F-bomb. They use foul language, but they also have Ruth Bader Ginsburg. They talk about getting rid of the patriarch, which I think people think is patriotic instead of patriarch. I think they're a little confused and don't know vocabulary. Maybe they need to do a little work on that. But the malicious women are like, no, we're just like women with products, gifts that say the things that you kind of wish you'd say, or, that kind of thing. So here's some examples. This one I love because I don't know about you, but now sometimes when we have people over, the candle is please leave by 9 p.m. Or how about this one? I'd shank a bitch for you.
Funny.
Sorry for what I said when we were trying to park the camper.
Yes.
Isn't that hilarious? I was like,
true.
oh my God, that is so true.
Yeah.
Adulting infused with insufficient funds. And so they just have a ton of those little things. They have candles, they have hoodies and merch with their name on them. They have diffusers, they have gifts, they have jewelry. It's just a cute store that, kind of has fun gifts that you would give to your best friend and she would laugh. Like you're not going to give it, or like even a Christmas party where you do a white elephant, those things are super popular and super funny. But I bought $100 worth of candles to give to
nice
because I was like, oh, this was perfect for Jacob. Because he's always, now that he's graduated from college, he's got a job. He's like, dude, this adulting thing sucks.
Yes.
I'm like, yeah. So I got him the adulting infused with insufficient funds because I thought he liked that. Yeah.
That's
so,
hilarious.
My shout out.
Well,
to
this
them.
kind of goes with the whole thing about how I say everyone's so sensitive right now, especially now that I think it kind of just goes along with that. Like you just can't do anything right. And, if people don't know exactly what's behind their mission, then they don't understand it. And then they don't agree with it.
Well, and I don't necessarily align with all of the pot shops and the glass paraphernalia and all that stuff. I don't put up notes on their door saying they don't have American values. I just don't go there. Right. Like there's a lot of like hillbilly kind of theme stores with Confederate flags and shit that I'm not going to go to, but I'm not going to put a note on saying that they're, you don't align with American values.
Well, that's just because you're more open to other ideas and allowing people their freedoms to do what they want to do. You just won't go there.
Well,
but you don't have to but not everybody feels that way.
To say those things or to sell those. And if nobody were buying them, then they would be out of business. So,
those people that are writing those notes are still getting their extra $600 a week. So come
my God,
September,
that's so
maybe they won't
true.
have as much time to leave those notes
Oh my
because they
God,
will
that's
actually have
so
to work.
true.
Yeah. I
Oh
mean,
my gosh.
I don't know. I'm just saying that.
I love that.
But I do want to tell you, you mentioned once that one of your listeners
Yeah.
mentioned that we need to talk about the motorcycle a little bit more. And it kind of, remember you said
Yes.
something about that. The
Yes.
only thing I want to mention about my motorcycle, which I haven't ridden for a little while, but it kind of goes with the Malicious Women Co.
Yeah.
I did at one point name my motorcycle. And then I was like, that's probably a really bad name, but I thought I really liked the name. And so
Yeah.
I'm just keeping it, even though the definition's terrible.
Okay.
But I have I think it's a 2019, I think it's a 19 Triumph Bobber.
Bobber.
A
B-O.
bobber.
Bobber. Okay.
So it looks like old. It looks like the Harleys, whatever. But
You need to post a picture of
okay,
yourself in
I'll put
there.
a picture. I'll put a picture of the bike, not myself, on it. But
No, put
um,
yourself on it.
and
You have leathers and stuff that you could put
well,
on.
I do wear jeans when I ride, and then I have boots that cover my ankles, and then Michael makes me wear gloves and my jacket that has like the protective stuff in it, and obviously my helmet. And so I named her Calamity because I like that
Oh,
name.
calamity.
But
Yes.
then I was just looking up the definition so I could tell you it means a disastrous event marked by great loss and lasting distress and suffering. So that's
Oh,
probably not the best name for a motorcycle, but it is sort of fitting.
it is. I kind of like
Um,
it.
I just thought that was really cute for the
I
bike.
also think Calamity Jane. Is that what she was
Right.
about?
Yes. So yeah, she was a great fighter.
Yes.
But I haven't ridden it for a little while, but as you know, my dog, when he rides in the car, my new puppy, he
Yes.
wears goggles.
Yes. Wait,
And
in the car?
yes, he wears them always in the car,
Does he wear
which
them in the
I
boat?
love. He hasn't been in the boat yet because he
Oh,
loves water so much. We're afraid he'll just jump out of the boat. I'm
just get
going
a
to,
vest. I have
I'm
a
gonna, well, we
vest.
have one, but also we're worried about him like ripping holes in the boat.
Oh,
So we haven't bought him
yeah.
one. But I'm going to try paddleboarding with him. I'm just
Okay.
not sure. He's 82 pounds, like to put him on there. But
I
I
will tell
am
you,
looking for a sidecar for my bike so
for your
that I'm
calamity.
training him so then he can ride next to me in it. So that's what our next thing is. I guess Triumph doesn't actually make a sidecar, so we could purchase one and then have to have it put
Oh my
on
gosh, I
next to
love
it. But
that.
that's my goal, is to get a sidecar for my motorcycle.
Oh my God, I love that. Okay, we need a picture of you on the motorcycle. Do not just put the motorcycle on there. That's
I
bullshit.
can't I can't agree with that yet.
So now, Michael, is he going on any motorcycle trips or has he kind of been not
He's
riding
been
them?
working like crazy
Okay.
right now. So it's been pretty much just the weekends. And you don't want to ride your bike when it's super hot because it's
No.
just hot.
Yeah.
And then especially if you're in any traffic, you're just sitting there baking in it. So he hasn't been out for a while. In fact, three of the bikes are missing out of the garage. And I think he's loaned them out to some friends that are riding. One of
Oh,
his friends had his motorcycle stolen. So I think he's maybe have loaned it to him. But
oh, okay.
um, we only currently have two bikes and a scooter in the garage. And the scooter is one we're fixing for somebody. So
Is it like an electric scooter with like a lawnmower on it
no,
that
you
you
know what?
see?
It's a little spree. Remember those?
Yes. Oh
So
my
our
gosh.
old neighbor who now moved on, but it's that haunted house across the
Yes.
street.
Yeah.
He has them, and Michael years ago had borrowed them, and they used them for the Olympic trials in Eugene. So while they're out, they're like up on the
Oh
sidewalks and running around.
yeah.
So Michael's super handy, and he knows how to do stuff. So he is fixing it for him. So they moved to Southeast Portland where they can just like go up to the little bar and then go down to
Yeah.
the river or whatever. So he is supposed to be fixing it, but it's hard to find parts for those older bikes. So he's
Oh.
been just tinkering around. And the guy's, I mean, it hasn't worked for years. So he's also not in a big hurry, but that's why we have it in the garage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. Yeah. I can't wait to see Stevie. Oh my gosh. So does he not like having the glasses on
Oh
or
no,
does
he
he?
totally like what I love about it is and it's more for me, I guess. I
Yes.
get pleasure watching other
Absolutely.
people laugh or
Absolutely.
smile or take pictures of him. And so
Absolutely.
I did rename his Instagram pages goggle.steve. Um and they're white because he's dark, so they really stand out, and he's
Oh,
just
cute.
really cute. I think he's adorable, but
And he doesn't try to get him off or
no,
anything?
I think when I very first put him on him, I just gave him a bunch of treats, and now he
Yeah.
just, and honestly, when he doesn't have him on him, he's like this, like in the wind,
Yeah.
so he doesn't have to do that. He just is
Oh
sitting there,
my gosh, I
and
love
he looks at
that.
people, and he's just got these white goggles on. They're hilarious. And then like one time I went and got takeout, and a lady was walking out. I might have told you this. She had her
No.
crutches, and she looks at him, and then looks at me, and she's like, "Is that your dog?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "You just made my day." And I'm like, "That's why he wears them, because he just
Oh.
it makes people smile." And he's super
Oh.
adorable. But then, like, if he's on a motorcycle, how cute would that be? Is he's
Oh
got
my
these little
God.
goggles, like
I
in my
cannot
sidecar
wait.
next to
I
me.
want this
Yeah.
immediately. If anyone knows anybody who makes custom sidecars, we need
Or
to.
just one, a used one. I don't care. I'll put it next to my
Yeah.
bike. Like,
Yeah. Oh my God, I love
he
this.
Michael did send me like a little scooter with, and it had a sidecar to it. But I was like,
Yeah.
no, I want a sidecar for my motorcycle.
Oh my gosh,
Although
I
if I
love
found a
it.
motorcycle that had one, that was a really cool bike,
Yeah.
then, and because I'm short, my bike has to sit low.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's some things, but if anybody has one for sale near here, I'd be interested.
Okay. Well, do you
I'll
ever
just sell
feed
my other
him?
bike, although Michael would probably keep it, but
Do you let Steve have people food?
um like he's had like bones, but
You don't give him like
he'll
ice
eat, he likes
cream.
watermelon. No. I may give him fruit,
Would you ever let
apples.
him have Dippin' Dots?
I don't know.
Do your
Is that
kids like Dippin' Dots?
I think so.
The
Yeah.
ice cream?
Yeah.
Do you like
Why?
Dippin' Dots?
Yeah, why? Or what are you gonna tell me about Dippin' Dots? Because now I'm scared. I haven't had them in years,
Okay,
but what's
I
up
do
with
not
Dippin'
like
Dots?
Dippin' Dots, but my daughter, and actually my son too, but my daughter especially, she loves Dippin' Dots. Like we were just at the Mariners game and she was like, "Oh my God, they have Dippin' Dots." I personally feel like I can't taste any flavor with Dippin' Dots because it's so cold. I like
Mm.
literally have to let it melt before I actually taste anything. And then what's the point of Dippin' Dots when you're just melted, right? Well, did you hear that at the Dippin' Dots factory in Kentucky, I think it was. Yes, Kentucky. 10 people were injured when the liquid nitrogen on a truck that was being delivered exploded. Yes. I mean, who knew
When
ice
was
cream
this
could be
recently?
so dangerous? Yes,
Who
this was
knew?
on
I thought you were
Wednesday.
gonna tell me something that was inside the Dippin' Dots that I
No,
really we shouldn't
no,
have. Okay.
no. This was on Wednesday, July 21st. So just this last week.
Whoa. So
Yeah.
it just exploded and everybody like got
Well, they don't know. They don't know why it exploded. They don't know
shot from
how.
it?
They're not sure exactly. Nobody died, thank God. But I'm like, geez, who knew ice cream could be so dangerous? Yeah.
Dang. That's
Yeah.
sad.
So, I was just wondering if you gave him Dippin' Dots. It was a bad segue, I agree, but
I think it's one of those things that
you're not even
they don't even
laughing.
have it at the store, right?
No. Well, actually, I don't know about that, but we were talking last night about the Dippin' Dots explosion. And one of the girls there said one time she went in and she saw them like in a freezer case, like bags of the Dippin' Dots. And I was like, you know what? I have seen that. So I think you can go into like some convenience stores and they'll have like a Dippin' Dots freezer with
Right.
bags of it.
Okay.
So I think you can actually get it other places. Otherwise, you have to go to like a Dippin' Dots store,
Right.
which I think we have one in the mall.
Or like at the
Um,
movie theater, they have like, don't they sell them
Maybe.
there?
I don't
I don't
know.
know.
I don't dig on Dippin' Dots because I feel like it's too damn cold for my mouth to actually taste anything. So I'm not a big, huge Dippin' Dots fan, but
And I think they're expensive. And partly
yes,
is because they're usually at like fairs or like that
yes.
type of thing where everything's expensive. But
Well, also I think it's just different than ice cream. It's not traditional ice cream. They need a lot more. There's a lot more in it to make it with the liquid nitrogen. I don't know.
I don't maybe the liquid nitrogen is what keeps like you're able to make them individual little dots.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Well, and maybe like as it's like in the more solid form, you can taste it better. I don't know.
Well, because have you ever taken liquid nitrogen and then put something in it? It
What, you
bubbles.
can just go buy liquid nitrogen? What is
Yeah.
it? You
Well,
can?
well, okay, not the liquid, I guess, but the solid. My mother used. Okay, so
Is that like dry
I
ice?
have a good mom. Yes, dry ice. So she
Okay.
used to when I was a kid, which I don't think you probably could get away with doing this anymore, but she loved Halloween too. And I remember her coming to school with a big pumpkin that she had carved out, and she put punch in it, and then she dropped the dry ice into it. And if you watch that, sometimes the dry ice will take little bubbles of air and freeze them. That's all that Dippin' Dots is doing. Is I'm not sure the process, but somehow they're freezing those into little dots by using
that punch didn't smell or taste like pumpkin.
No.
Really?
No. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. Maybe because
I might have to use that
very
one
long. Yeah, maybe because it didn't sit in there very long. But yeah.
Hey, I like that idea.
And also, a listener reached out to me who is a friend, and she's like, "We need to go to that McMinimums thing on the 27th or whatever."
Okay, sorry. I think I did say the 27th. It is the 28th. I called them yesterday. Sorry. It's still Thursday.
Okay.
But I believe it is the 28th, which is actually like one of my favorite numbers. It was my first number when I rode motocross, which, okay, let me just tell you this. When I rode motocross, it was more like I rode motocross. I didn't do any tricks or anything. I was always last, and whatever. I didn't jump. I didn't go fast enough to get any air anytime, but I did have a 125 Kawasaki 125 or something like that. I don't remember, but I did ride it. And I would go up to Browns Camp and all of that with Michael. But my number was 28. So
did he love that you did that? Did you do that before kids or during kids or what?
It was pre-kids. I mean, and that bike was so tall. Okay, so when you're riding that type of bike, you're not supposed to stop and get off and all of that like you are when you're on the streets, right? So when I'm on the streets, I want to be able to touch the ground. When I had that other bike, I'd have to go over to a big boulder to be able to kick it. Right, because I couldn't stand and get it to go. I don't know how you do it. You kick it to go, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'd have to stand on a rock to do it, and then I'm like, okay, here we go, because then you just take off from the rock. And then, like, if you were to just stop, you'd have to like fall over, but then your bike's still rolling. I mean, still going, right? So I did do that. Anyway,
I have to tell you, I've created a whole vision for you motocrossing, going slow, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Which reminds me. Do you remember when I saw you at Club Sport one time? And
this is still one of my worst memories.
Yes, I was gonna say, I think I traumatized you for.
You totally did. I don't think I did the bike ever again. No, it's okay.
I'm so sorry.
So you tell your version, and then I'll tell my version.
Okay, so my version is, I can't even
I tell people this story.
I can't even defend myself. It's so bad. I mean, okay. So she's at the gym. She's working out. Working out is a little stir.
First of all, I'm super out of shape. I'm out there. I'm trying, right? Go ahead.
On,
keep going.
Those sit-up bikes that, you're up. It's not like a spinning bike. It's like a straight up. And she is literally going so slow that it reminds me of Kermit the Frog on the Muppets, where he's like, "One day you'll find me, the Rainbow Connection." And so I come up, and I am not exactly sure what I said, but I know I said something about you looking like Kermit the Frog. Okay, what did I say?
Okay, I think you had headphones in.
Okay.
This is the only way I can explain how loud you said it. I just in my mind want to think that you had headphones in so you couldn't hear your own voice, because you said, "What are we on, a Sunday stroll?" And I look over at you, and then everybody turns around and looks at me, and I'm like, "What the F?" Like, first of all, I'm on like level 2. I feel like I'm in knee deep mud. Because I think when you go really, really fast, you can kind of keep up. But when you're like just trying to it's like I'm walking through like
peanut butter. Peanut butter.
Totally. And I was like, oh my God, like, how long do I have to stay here before I'm like, can leave before everyone's like, oh, she's given up already. But I'm like, what the hell? Like, I don't think I've ridden the bikes there since.
See, I'm so sorry, you guys.
It's fine. I was like, fuck, what?
It's that part of me that says shit and you're just like, oh my God, if I could take that back. I mean, your face, you
No,
were
it
so
makes a good
mortified.
story though. But I was just like, oh my God, I am working out hard here. Like my heart rate's at 187, even though I'm strolling like Kermit the Frog. But whatever. Like,
Okay, so I didn't say the Kermit the Frog thing.
no, you just said, what are we on? A Sunday stroll? And I was like, what? But you said it so loud that I think the people in like the edge heard. Which if anybody doesn't know Bay Club or Club Sport, that is like on the other side of it's the other side of Costco. Like it
Gosh.
was so loud that I was like, oh my
Oh.
God. And it was like a busy day. Like there was
And
lots of people around us.
let's just say I've never seen her in the group exercise area since then.
Yeah. Well,
And
and you
will
know
you
what? That was
accept
like
my
7 years ago or
apology? Oh,
something.
no, that was longer than that, dude.
It was a very long time ago.
It
And
was like
honestly,
10
I never
years.
held that against you. I was just thought it was funny and embarrassing all at the same time. But I tell people like, oh, I don't work out. There's this one time, you know, so, but I do have
Okay,
to tell
accept my
you,
apology. I'm
no,
so
I totally,
sorry.
I didn't hold it against you. Obviously, I'm here with you and
Oh
had
my
been for a
God.
while, but I do have to tell you one funny story about motocross when I was over at um oh my gosh, I don't maybe it'll come to me, but it's up in Washington. I remember going around this berm, right? And they have like hay on the sides. So
Yeah.
my bike goes up and over it. And I was like, oh crap, right? Like, so, and of course I was on the bike. So I stood up really quick and I'm like trying to pick up the bike and I lean it up against a tree. And then here's a volunteer like running really fast to
Yes.
come making sure I'm okay. So I rip off my gloves and I look at my fingernails. I'm like, okay, I'm counting them, making sure they're all there, right? He looks at me. So I'm looking at my nails and then I look up like past my hands to him and he's looking at me like, really, you're checking your nails? And he turns away and I was like, wait a minute, my bike. I need help with my bike. That was and the funny thing before that, I was having like a sciatic nerve problem in my back. Well, that crash, it like totally like janked
Fixed
my
it?
back to the point where it fixed it. So that crash, not only did I
Wow.
not break any nails, I fixed my back, and I was having a hard time getting my bike out of the dirt on the side.
Oh,
But it was very funny because I just remember the look on the guy's face, like, "Oh, he's so worried," and all of a sudden it just turned to like, "Whatever, woman, like figure it
she's
out."
checking her nails.
I
Oh
was
my
making sure they
God.
were all there, but they were.
Did you think you lost a finger or just a fingernail?
Oh, just a fingernail. Like, and I didn't even know if I did. I was just making sure. Like, here I'm like on the side of the track checking my nails. It was ridiculous. But
So here's this badass, like, what would you even say that is? Badass chick who, you ride motorcycles, you ride motocross, you
and
do all
I
this
wouldn't
badass stuff.
couldn't put myself
But
into
with
badass,
pretty
but I did
nails.
this. Yeah. You have to be like girly, but
Uh,
not like, I don't
yeah.
know.
Oh my gosh. I love that story. Well,
Anyway,
what's
you have
your
more
story
stories, more
today?
things?
No,
Oh, I
that's
thought
that's
that's it. Okay.
that was my news for the day.
Well, I love it. I have just a quick story because, we were talking about like, would you turn people in?
Yes.
And so there was a woman, and they were from actually, this family was from Bend, Oregon, and her husband had committed a terrible thing, and he confessed to her. And he's like, I know you're going to do the right thing, so I'm leaving. And she's like, just stay, turn yourself in. And so when he left, she did. She went and did the right thing. So here she knows that she's losing her husband forever by doing this. So there are people out there who would, I mean, like
Do the
you
right thing.
would do the right thing. So let's go back to the Jason Derek Brown. If you
Wait.
think you know who he is, turn him in. But I'll tell you the
Oh,
story.
gotcha. Okay, I
But
was
I
gonna
was kind
say,
of
is this the
segueing.
story about the guy who was a security guard at
Yes. Did we talk
yes.
about that already?
No, but I was actually that's in my backlog of
Yeah.
cases. But
Yeah.
that woman, I'll let you tell the story, but his
Oh,
wife, she
yeah.
turned him in.
She did.
Yeah.
And she didn't waste any time. Like she
No.
immediately went. So
And
let's
he
see.
took
This was
off and
he
tried to
did.
evade police. Yeah.
He did. And he did for 2 days.
Yeah.
But he said he just wanted a little bit more time. Anyway, let's go back to July 23rd, 2016. This girl's name was Kaylee Sawyer. She was at a bachelorette party. She was 23 years old. She was in Bend, Oregon, and she was attending Central Oregon Community College. She was a student, but she was also a dental assistant. She lived with her boyfriend, which I did not write his name down, but they were living together. And she went to this bachelorette party around midnight. She calls him for a ride, and she's really drunk. And so he comes to pick her up, and she, gets in the car, and she, I believe, tells him that, or maybe he asked that she was flirting with another guy that night. Nothing happened, but they were just flirting. Well, then he admits that he had flirted or something previously, like a week or so before. Anyway, this huge fight happens, and he's like, "Listen, you're drunk. Like, I'm gonna go upstairs. I'll see you in a minute. You just calm down."
Because they
So
live together in their apartment.
right, right. And so
Yeah.
he kind of goes upstairs, and then because he's like, okay, she's just really drunk. You're not. I always say you can't reason with drunk people. So he's giving her a minute, and then he comes back down, and he's like, "Where is she?" Like, her car, the side is open, and the keys are in the driver's side, I believe, or the passenger side. I'm not really sure, but she's gone. And he's like, "Okay, that's really weird." He texts her, and I don't know exactly. There were a couple of different variations of what it said, but generally it just said goodbye, and or like, "I'm not good enough for you," or something along those lines. I've read a couple of different things that text said. And so she takes off, and he thinks, okay, we have a friend there nearby. He didn't know exactly where she lived, but he just kept calling and texting her, and then her phone just was finally turned off. And it turns out she was walking along the side of the road. And so there are two different stories. There is Edwin Lara, or Lara. He was 35. He was a security guard for that school. And it is very common that there are drunk people around that school who are wandering around at night. According to his first interrogation with the police, he says that he was driving down the road. He was turning, and he accidentally bumps into her, and she was wearing all black. He did not see her. He's like freaking out. He goes around the car, and she's like screaming her head off, and he's telling her to be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. And then he says she passes out. So then he puts her in the back of the car. So then he's driving, and I'm not sure where he's going, but he pulls over again to check on her, and she starts screaming and screaming and screaming again. And he's like, "Shut up, shut up, shut up," puts her in a headlock, and then she dies. Or no, wait, sorry, passes out. He takes her up to like the woods, and I'm not sure. I might be messed up on my story a little bit. Anyway, he goes up to the woods or some secluded area where he then, because now he's like, she knows what I look like. She knows my face. She knows my car, because he's in a security car. It looks like a police car.
Because
And
he's
he also looks
security
like a
for the
police officer.
college.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he takes her out. He hits her with a rock, couple rocks, and then he then disposes of her body. He like leaves her there, and then he goes back home, gets his personal car, brings it back. I think he strips her of all her clothes and basically leaves her in a ditch between Sisters and Redmond. And but then he has her purse, and I think he has her, there's a couple of items that he had of hers, including her purse and her phone and the rock that he hit her with. And he put it in his storage shed behind his house. And he tells his wife about it. And that's when she goes and tells police. But what he had done was, when he confessed to her, he's like, "I'm leaving. I'm skipping town," basically. And she's like, he's like, "I know you're going to do what you're going to do." But he's like, "I just want a little bit more time." So when he leaves, she doesn't realize right away, but he has her gun. So he thinks she thinks he's suicidal. So he gets down to Eugene, Oregon, where he kidnaps Andrea Elizabeth. Um, let's see, Mays is her last name, Maes. He kidnaps her and basically gets her on the road, and they're driving to California. And he's like, well, first of all, she's driving, and then they switch seats after about an hour. So now he's driving, and she's in the passenger side car. Her car is eventually like leaking fluid or something. So they get down to, I think it's Yreka,
yeah.
Yreka, and they see an elderly man. They try to get his car, and he's like, he starts yelling instead, and this Edwin guy shoots him in the stomach, He does live, he's fine, but that whole foiled their plan of taking another car. So instead, they go to a family,
Why
and
doesn't
they
she try to
basically
get away at that point?
he says he'll just shoot her. He'll shoot her in the back. So
Okay.
she's just like totally paranoid.
Petrified. Okay.
He does end up getting into a car with a family, and then I believe he just takes over that car, drops them off a few miles down the road, 15 minutes or so down the road, with an elderly lady and like a couple other people in the car, but they all get in the car. They end up staying at the hotel. Actually, I got that wrong. Um, he shoots the guy. Anyway, there was a Motel 6 situation, and there was a Motel 8, but there was also in Eureka. So I think I might have gotten those two in it. At one point, they do stay the night at a hotel. You see him under surveillance camera, talking to the clerk, and he's telling him he's my girlfriend, but he knew something was wrong because she was crying and he was upset. He didn't know the extent of what was going on. But as they were driving down, he's like, I just want to make it to, first he said he wanted to make it, oh, I can't remember the first place, but he's like, I just want to make it to Corning. He was trying to go to Reading. And then in the 911 call of turning himself in, he says, I just want to make it to Corning. I'll make it to the Corning police. And then the 911 operator is like, why don't you just go now? Like, why do you need to get there? And he's like, I don't want to die. I don't want to get shot. He thought he would have better chances of just turning himself into the police station. Why do it on the side of the road? He was saying that this Andrea girl is nice. He didn't want her to be hurt. And during that conversation, he does say that he is wanted for murder of this other girl. And he basically tells her, but he hasn't told anybody where the body is yet. And so they get him pulled over, and she's on the phone with 911 as this whole thing is unfolding, and you can go on YouTube and listen to it if you want. But he gets out. They're both arrested. She's originally arrested for attempted murder and kidnapping. And then they realize that she's just an extra in this part, that he actually kidnapped her. And so she's released of all of those things. But then there's this other story. So that was the first story he said when he first was arrested, right? And then the police were like, are you sure? Like, we've heard these other stories about you. You sure you didn't kidnap her just to rape her? Did you not do that? They were like really interrogating him, and his story was changing. But was it changing because of the interrogation, or was it changing because that wasn't the full truth? And their main goal was to find the body first and then uncover all of this stuff. So once he wrote a map of where she was at, then they started really getting mean to him. And then it turns out he has had a past of showing nude photos and videos of him with other women, like having like basically affairs, to his coworkers. And they were kind of like creeped out. It was kind of weird. He's had a fascination with dead bodies, apparently, and to the point where he made some people so uncomfortable, like the women cadet. There was one particular one that didn't want to ride with him any longer. So he had this like weird history. And so the family did go ahead and sue the Central Oregon Community College because there were red flags, and that should have been addressed ahead of time. They were awarded $2 million. He was convicted. I don't know exactly what his sentence ended up being, but I haven't looked, but I'm pretty sure they had found her body by now, and
They did.
all of that. But so tell me what you know about the story, because I was just reviewing it.
There actually was an amazing like 8-part podcast on this that somebody in Portland, a Portland reporter, I wish I could remember because I didn't know we were talking about this today. She had done on it, really deep dive expose on it. And so if you guys want more information on it, but basically,
is that girl from the Oregonian?
Yes, that's
There's one girl that I listened to with the Jason Derek Brown case. Yeah. She was so good that it was so well done. So I wonder if this is the same girl, because she's very talented.
She's done a couple that I've listened to. She probably the same person. She really is amazing, and she's really good at it. But the tragedy in all of this, the one thing you didn't mention, is they first looked at the boyfriend, because who do you go to first? Well, the person that last saw her. And apparently there had been a little bit like where the girlfriends at the bridal party knew that she had kind of flirted and that there was this kind of tension. And so all eyes went to the boyfriend. And the boyfriend said, basically, we got home, on the way, we got in this argument. I went up to our apartment and she never came. Well, it turns out that what had happened is she decided to walk to the friend's house, walk somewhere, and this security guard pulls over. They believe now that he invited her in to give her a ride.
Right. And because he was in a security, looks like a officer.
Correct.
She
trusted him. She got in, and he had apparently been gearing up for this. Like this was his plan. And he then tried to rape her, and she fought back, and that's when he hit her with the rock. So nobody really believes his story and rendition of it. But in the meantime,
does he still stick to the whole he hit her?
Yeah, like with the rock.
Trial? No, with the car first. Is that what he stuck to, or did he change that? Because I know what he originally said, and then they were like getting him to say other things, but I don't know which was actually.
I don't think he actually hit her. I think he full on saw this pretty girl who was drunk on the side of the road, walking down the side of the road. And you know how friggin' dark it is out there. It's dark. And for those of you who don't know it, it's in the middle of the desert. So, and there's a lot of space around it. So anyways, I don't believe that they think that he hit her accidentally. I think he saw her. He thought, ooh, good bait. And he did have a predisposition to porn and all sorts of like not appropriate to women stuff. And I think he just grabbed her, tried to rape her. She fought back. He hit her with a rock, killed her, and then was like, oh shit, now what do I do? But in the meantime, this poor boyfriend is being, scrutinized and looked at, and they kind of wasted time looking at that, which was unfortunate. But statistically speaking, right, it's typically the boyfriend. Right. I think this is the perfect example of when the boyfriend didn't do it or the husband didn't do it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, and they said by his reaction, they knew pretty quickly that he wasn't involved. But then they were also looking for the guy who she was flirting with. So they were going back to like the old surveillance videos there at the place that they were at to try to find that guy and try to talk to him. But then around that time is when the wife was like, listen, my husband has said this to me. And so,
yeah, it's really sad. And that poor girl, I mean,
I'm like, come on, girls, like just buddy system, going off to college, being in college, just take care of yourself. But then a
security guard pulls up that kind of
right, that you trust.
Yeah. I mean, you think, oh, you're safe to get in that car. I mean, I guess I totally get it.
And that's where the parents were like, listen,
you
need to check on your people a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I think even like random, like, what do they call them? Like psychological tests on like the police officers and stuff wouldn't be a bad idea. Just random. It's like a random drug test, but like a random, like, let's just do a check-in really quick with a bunch of people.
Yeah. And they probably didn't do that at all. He probably didn't get one of those.
That's what's so hard about mental illness. Like sometimes it just happens so quick and, or maybe it builds. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm crazy, but
you're not killing crazy though.
No.
You're motocross crazy.
Yes. No. I mean, I don't do that anymore, but I mean,
you certainly
I wouldn't mind. We talk about getting like a little pit bike for the backyard. I'm sure my neighbors would love it. Like a little 50, like you use them like, well, I don't know if that's an actual term, but my husband calls them pit bikes, like the little bikes that you can just get from one place to another.
Oh,
like a little 50, like a little like mini bike.
Your backyard isn't that big.
Well, right now the grass is almost dead, and like we might as well make like a little track. But then the neighbors would be like, "What the hell are they doing now?" Like, they wouldn't be surprised, but they would be like, we joke about getting those, but yeah. So one day, okay, you are going to be there. Are you staying the night, or are you just coming for a little bit? I just need to know about the room situation.
Yeah, so my friend and I are going to try to do it. Although she was like, I don't know where I'll be then. I don't know if I can do it, but she wants to do it. So I was like, okay, I'll take a room. And I cannot commit to staying up till 3:30 in the morning, though. You know me.
Well, I'm going to give you a couple sodas because I know you can't sleep.
It's true.
Okay, so I just talked to the manager there yesterday, and I was like, "Hey, when I go online, I can't see my reservations. Do I really have them?" And he's like, "Yes, you do." And I'm like, "Because we rented the whole upstairs because we heard your place is a little haunted." Because last year I listened to the McMenamins had a haunted tour of their different facilities, and the guy was like, "This is one of our most haunted." And the manager goes, "This isn't the one of the most haunted." He goes, "This is the most haunted building in Portland," is what he said. And I said, "Great." So we got the right place. And so I said, I would love to make it more of an event. So I need to email him, because at first I was like, maybe I can get Renee or Suzanne to come down and do a little thing because in the restaurant bar area, right? Do a little thing. And then I thought, well, maybe I'll just ask him to give us a little history, or maybe somebody within McMenamins can tell us, maybe give us a little tour of the place ahead of time. Would be really fun to have a little bit more information before we go into it. I figured we would all meet, in the evening and have dinner before the restaurant closes. And then we all just start doing our thing. And I know John is making kits for the different rooms for everybody to have their own little, and I've ordered a few things myself, just so that people can, the whole reason of going there is to ghost hunt, right?
Right.
And to get as much information as we can. We're not going there on a Thursday night just to go to sleep.
Right. I know.
So you're going to be tired on Friday. Not on Friday. Just take it off.
I will.
You're not going to do it. And then I think we'll record while we're there, and then that will be our following, which would be right around Halloween. That will drop then. So
all right, let's see some ghosts, man. If I pee my pants, it's your fault.
Well, I don't know.
Where depends.
Yeah, are we gonna just know it's there? I don't know.
I listened to our last podcast on air, and your little light up thing scares the bejeebers out of me.
Okay, so did you see it too, or did you just listen to it?
No, I just listened.
Did you hear us are you recording this? And
yes. And you're like, oh, yeah.
As much as I believe it, it's still when those cat toys light up, it is so bright. It actually takes your breath and makes your heart go whoop.
Why
down
do
to your
you
stomach.
call them cat toys?
Oh, because it is a cat toy. It is a motion-centered, actually a cat toy, but they work really well because as soon as you touch it, you don't even have you can't if it's on a hard surface, unless you're bumping the table, it won't light up. But if you touch it, it actually goes off. And they're made for cats to play. So when we were trying to go to the neighbor's house to do it at her house, we're watching this little kitten, right? That's the reason why we were there. Well, the kitten would find the ball. And so it's lighting up down the hallway. And we're like, okay, this isn't really working because the cat obviously loves the ball. But they work really, really well.
I'm gonna have to see it.
I don't have one in here. It is a little ball. So I ordered more to have for other people to have in their room, up on the table.
So the ghosts move them?
If they touch them, it makes it go off. The other little meter that was on the podcast, and then it's on the YouTube channel, it actually records the electricity in the room. And that thing was lighting up because I said in there, light up the ball. And then I said, or that, because then the thing went lit up, the harder thing to move went up. And we were like, oh my God. And then she's like, are you recording this? And so I'm like, yeah, because I wasn't expecting that to light up. I was expecting the ball.
Well, and then Deegan said something about, blink twice or light up twice.
Yes. Okay. So that was a different machine that I had. Okay. That's the one thing that's really odd is this machine. It is made just for ghost hunting, I guess, but you touch it, you get near it and it lights up, but it doesn't just light up that blue light. It lights up the whole thing. So I don't know how the spirit or whatever lights up just the one little blue light. And so it lit up when he asked for it. And he's like, okay, do it twice. And then it does it twice, just at that blue light. But if you and I were to touch it, the whole thing lights up, multiple lights. It's like this little, a little arcade looking thing.
So, and we're sure there's no voice activation.
We are just sitting there Alexis, looking at this. We can sit there and talk.
Siri.
You can try it. It just sits there otherwise. And then,
Siri knows that I'm talking to it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, the skeptics will say.
No, totally. Yeah. No, I agree with you. And if that's the case, then yes. But it was just really odd that when he asked it for 2, it went 2.
Yes.
And it didn't do it right away. It was blue and then blue.
I couldn't tell if it did or didn't from the
Well, did you hear our reaction?
Yeah.
Because it did the two, and we were like, oh my God. And Deegan goes on the air of like, don't be a wimp. I'm like, don't be mean to it. Like, let's just talk to it. Like, you don't have to like make it mad. Like, just ask
Let's
it.
not
like,
bring any negative juju into our house.
Totally. Like, we don't need to make him mad. We have to live with this thing in our house.
Seriously.
And it's funny because I've been down there a couple of times, and it just doesn't feel scary like it did that night.
Huh.
Like, just being in there was
Did
weird.
believe any of this before he saw all that?
Let's think.
Is he a little more freaked out now? Like, oh my gosh.
No. And the funny thing is, I thought Lucy would be freaked out because she sleeps downstairs. And it doesn't seem to bother her as much. Like, and she used to be in that room.
Yeah.
Like, she slept in there, and she never said anything about noises.
She's got you for a mom. I mean, come on now. Motocrossing bad bitch, boss, ghost hunter, podcaster,
weirdo
owner, nail technician, designer.
Who knows? God dang.
Oh my gosh. You're just a woman of all things.
Master
all right,
of none.
Girl. Well, you know what?
Right.
You know what I'm going to say, right?
Say it.
Say it. I'm going to tell you, you need to stay curious, stay suspicious, and stay open until we see each other again next week.
All right. Thanks, Melissa.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.